So in the Jotko fight, as I was saying, it was that constant walking down, as we see, where he's always giving Jotko something to think about, showing him something, feinting, stepping into range, blocking his attacks, jamming his attacks, tapping his lead leg. Like by this point, this was end of the second round. By this point, Jotko's lead leg was really starting to, I mean, you can see how sheepish he's being on this as he's stepping back. And Strickland's quite happy to walk you down. And it's not the nicest of punches. It's not the nicest of technique. It's kind of similar to the Diaz brothers in a way. They pepper you. And it's not, you're not looking at really sharp, crisp, bam, bam, bam. You're not seeing Canelo or Lomachenko style boxing here. You're seeing him push punches out from his shoulders. But because there's no drawback, it's difficult to read them. You can see here, I mean, we're watching this hand here, and it's going to go straight through the guard of Jotko. Bang. Just touches him. Right, and it upsets Jotko's progress as well. Even though it's just a touching shot, and it does enough to just make his ear flap a little bit. It doesn't really hurt him, but does push him back, does discourage him, does throw off his attack, and then Jotko's wild here. And Strickland's thrown one punch to two that were coming back at him, and he was the only one that scored. Same thing here, straight down, bang, just a touch. Stays in range, walks in. This is something that Strickland does really well, is he takes his feet with him as he's striking. But look how square his shoulders are. I often think it looks when he's fighting like he's left his coat hanger in his jacket. Like he doesn't move his shoulders very well. He kind of pokes, and everything kind of comes from here. I can't tell you what this guard's called, what we used to call it in the gym, but it was to discourage people from doing it. The problem with this guard, and what we might see at UFC 271, because both of the main event middleweights do it, is the problem with this guard is that this rear hand becomes too dependent on reaching for punches, and then you start slipping onto kicks. I don't think we're going to see that from Jack Hermansson. He might be awkward enough to throw it, but that's the risk in this style. It works well for Strickland because he kind of hangs back on his lead leg and he keeps prodding and poking. But against someone like Adesanya, they're going to read this tell and they're going to make him pay for it. But this is what I'm talking about. This is why it's a difficult style to predict, because there's no twist in the body until the punch is already gone. He doesn't load the punch. He just rocks forward into it and places the jab right on the chin of his opponent. And again, Jotko's not dazed by it, but he's stifled for a moment. He's pushed back. He's losing the rounds. Bang, hacks into that lead leg. And again, if we see him hacking into that lead leg against Hermansson, it's going to really limit the movement of Hermansson, which is going to cut down his options. So let's think about Jack Hermansson and how he initiates the best part of his game, which is the grappling, and not necessarily grappling to submit, although that is a big part of his game. Jack Hermansson has got great striking,